What would you do if you spent $6,400 to help your family and got a text message in return? You are not invited to the farewell party. That night, I understood a bitter truth. Sometimes, kindness is seen as an obligation, and the giver becomes an outsider. I paid $6,400 to help my cousin move abroad. Then the message came. You're not invited to her going away party. This is a family matter. My mom said, "Why are you being so awkward about this?" So I didn't. I paused my travel assistance and updated my lease. At 10:56 p.m., my aunt sent a voicemail. I listened to it twice to make sure I heard right. I didn't hesitate when she asked. My cousin Lily had always been the type to make big plans but needed quiet support to make them happen. Moving to Berlin for her art program sounded exciting, even ambitious, and I was in a position to help. So I did. The plane ticket, the visa fees, the apartment deposit, even the first 2 months' rent, it was all covered. The grand total was $6,400. Not a loan, not a favor, just support, because I thought that was what family did. I didn't even expect a thank you card. I just wanted to be there when she left, to say goodbye, to feel cared for. The farewell dinner was supposed to be small and intimate. She mentioned it casually when we were talking on the phone about her embassy appointment. Nothing fancy, just immediate family and a few close friends. I figured I'd be there. She always called me her favorite cousin. I helped her with her resume. I read every sponsorship letter she wrote. I picked up her groceries the week of her finals, but at 3:42 p.m. the day before dinner, I got a text from her mom, my Aunt Claire. "Hey, just a reminder, we'll keep dinner tight, more like a family party. I hope you understand." At first, I stared at the message, thinking maybe I had misread it. Then logic kicked in. More like a family party. I wasn't close enough to the family. No calls, no explanations, just a casual exclusion wrapped in emojis. I didn't respond, didn't ask. I just sat on the couch, opened my banking app, and froze the international transfer account I'd set up for her living expenses. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because this time, I wanted to protect my personal space. For years, I believed silence was grace, but it just erased me. Then I logged into the rental platform and removed my name from the lease. She hadn't even moved in yet. At 10:56 that night, my aunt sent a voice note. I listened to it twice just to make sure I heard it right. Her voice was calm, oddly rehearsed. "Honey, we're just trying to keep things simple. It's not personal. You're making this awkward." That's the word that sticks with me. Awkward. Like I crashed a party I didn't belong to. Like I was the one causing the scene. So I didn't. I lay in bed that night staring at Claire's text like it was some kind of riddle. Just a warning. It was more like a family affair. It wasn't even the first time. And that's what broke me. Not the text, not the dinner, not even the money. It was the realization that this had been going on for years, over and over again. Different scenes, same story. I just hadn't put a name to it before. I remember Lily's graduation when I paid for the party and the photographer because she deserved something special. They didn't save me a seat that day either. I stood in the back with the staff, holding a plate of food I'd paid for. I remember Christmas when I drove 5 hours in a snowstorm to bring everyone presents and ended up eating alone in the living room because we were packed into the main table. I remember my aunt's birthday party. I paid for everything, including the open bar her friends kept talking about. Claire toasted to the people who always showed up, and somehow I wasn't one of them. The bill wasn't the issue. It was what came after. It always was. I gave, they took, I helped, they forgot, I said nothing. They took it as consent. They appreciated the help, but never stopped to see who was behind it. A card visit deleted, a contact responded. I wasn't a relative, I was sponsoring. The pattern was a cold slap. Every time I showed up, they kicked me out. Not with words, not with omissions, not with false gratitude, not with "we didn't think you'd mind. You're so good at letting go, you're trustworthy." And the last one, the worst. Trustworthy, a word that sounds respectful but carries a sense of obligation. That night, I sat down at my desk and opened my inbox. I found Lily and scrolled through the past 6 months, 47 emails, flight confirmations, security deposits, co-signing forms for a house, a visa appointment checklist, an Amazon receipt for adapters, an allergy medicine, and expensive suitcases. 47 instances of me showing up, not a single one. Thank you. I opened a spreadsheet and started jotting it all down, not out of anger, but for clarity. I needed to see how far I could let go. By 3 a.m., I had every cent, every favor, every silence, all lined up in column, cold, verified, unpaid. Somewhere between lines 31 and 32, I realized I wasn't her cousin, I was her donor, a ghost with a bank account, and ghosts don't get invited to dinner. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat, but I remembered. I remembered Lily saying, "I don't know how I'd survive without you. Now I do." She never meant to. She just didn't think she'd have to. 7:12 the next morning. I sat at my desk, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, staring at my banking app. The $6,400 was still in Lily's account. I hit cancel. No notification to her. It would just come back in a few days, as a technical glitch. Let her call the bank. Next was the lease. She insisted I be the second signer. Her credit score wasn't good enough to rent an apartment in Berlin on her own. I agreed quietly, thoughtfully, but stupidly. Now I was done. I logged into the housing portal, chose to remove the cosigner, and uploaded a notarized affidavit of ongoing financial obligations. I attached a copy of our last email, in which she mentioned that the lease was only temporary until she received her benefits. Let her explain that to the agency. I didn't want her to fail. I couldn't let a system let me down again. Saying no wasn't revenge. It was long overdue self-respect. Then came the fun part. The infrastructure. Lily used my cloud service package for all her moving-related documents, embassy scans, student forms, even her new ID card. I was the administrator. She never asked why the bill wasn't charged. I logged in, suspended her access, moved all the files to a separate folder labeled pending, not deleted, just inaccessible. Then I moved to our shared Dropbox. That folder held her art portfolio, the one she sent to her scholarship committee, the one I formatted, edited, organized while she bragged about not believing in digital systems, deleted her logins, changed her passwords. At first, she would have dismissed it as a mistake, maybe even called me for help. That made me laugh. Not a happy laugh, the kind when you realize magicians never had a rabbit in there, just me. Then came the software license, Adobe Creative Suite, my business account. She had it for free for 2 years. I deactivated her account. One click. Now she could manage her own stuff. Then there was the travel card, which I had set up for her to use only in case of emergency. She used it for Uber, food delivery, even a 2-night stay at a hotel in Amsterdam with a friend she hadn't introduced. I saw the bill, I just said nothing. I called the card company, canceled the additional users, effective immediately. I didn't leave a balance, I didn't make a fuss, just shut the door. Finally, email. She had a Gmail account. I helped her set up one linked to my Google Workspace. That was brutal. I knew it had hit the deepest of wounds. I canceled it immediately. The email address associated with her college registration, her scholarship account, and her residency visa was deactivated. She would soon find out. It wasn't personal. It was clarity. It was precision. That line stuck with me. I had spent so much time helping others that I forgot to ask myself, what do I need? What is fair to me? I made a checklist. Everything she had access to, everything I funded, everything I maintained was systematically cut off. This wasn't emotional. This was a reestablishment of shared resources. By noon, the only thing she had left was the baggage I had helped her pick up, and the memory of a cousin who had said yes. I didn't post anything online. I didn't text her back. I knew what was coming. The calls, the chaos, the stories. But I no longer feared the consequences. I feared what would become of me if I didn't act. At 2:24 p.m. I got the first text. From Claire, something was wrong with Lily's college credentials. Could you fix it? I didn't respond. At 3:47 p.m., Lily finally texted, hey, my lease doctor said it was changed. Did you touch it? I didn't respond. At 4:15 p.m., Claire again, you're being petty. Childish. She's your cousin. Still nothing. By 6:30 p.m., I had 3 missed calls from Lily, my aunt, and one from a number I didn't recognize. Probably a friend of hers trying to act as a go-between. No big deal. I built the system. They had accessed it without respect. Now I was revoking the access. One of my favorite business quotes is, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And I was tired of being sold. At 9:02 p.m., I got a voicemail. Clear again. This time, no emojis, no fakes, just clipping. Rehearsed rage. I hope you understand the damage you've done. Lily is devastated. You left her feeling abandoned at a time when she needed support. Family doesn't do that. I listened twice. Once to hear her say it, once to hear the absence of a word. Thank you. She didn't mention the money, the support, the spreadsheets, the sacrifices, just emotions, the things they used as weapons when the system stopped working for them. So I archived the voice memo and opened a new document. Title: They never said thank you. I know that keeping records won't change the past, but it helped me see the pattern. I ignored a place where love was conditional but gratitude was non-existent. Item 1, $6,400. Item 2, my silence. Item 3, her seat at that dinner. I was no longer invited, neither were they now. Not to my life, not to my job, and not to the system they had mistakenly inherited. As the evening wore on, my phone looked like a battlefield. 21 notifications stacked with missed calls, voicemails, texts, and escalation. It started quietly, Claire, in the group chat. He was ignoring us. This was unnecessary. Lily had sent a gift of a crying puppy. A silent plea, a weapon. I had left them on read. They were fishing for a response. Any response. Nothing happened. At 8:47 p.m., A call from an unknown number, a private investigator Lily had hired to restore my line. I let it ring, then silence. At 9:15 p.m., Lily's friend, someone I barely knew, texted. She was emotionally overwhelmed. I didn't type anything, Mom called. Her voice was shaky. Why did you do this? You're making things worse. We just wanted to talk. I hit ignore. I was done negotiating with a mob. Then the group email came. The subject line, urgent family discussion. Hours of drama condensed into a single, accusatory paragraph. Highlights like breach of trust. You've adjusted all the shared access points accordingly. The situation was emotionally wrenching. Lily was traumatized. The demand, restore all accounts by 9 a.m. tomorrow or we escalate. I opened the email, reading through the guilt-filled words. We saved you half when you lost your job in 2019. You've benefited from our generosity before. We just want it to be fair. They positioned themselves as victims. The family denied. Justice was demanded. And the subtext was clear. Compensation for emotional distress. I drafted a silent reply that was filed. Nothing more. That night, 2 separate calls from Lily's attorney. They wanted to discuss damages, emotional distress, loss of scholarship due to loss of access, a lump sum. Their attorney used formal language. This action had serious consequences. We received a formal request to discuss this matter to restore Ms. Thompson's benefits and seek damages. I didn't call back. I couldn't. This was no longer a family dispute. It had escalated into a calculated confrontation. Their request was not for reconciliation, it was for compensation. At 11:03 p.m., my mother texted, "He used to babysit for free. Take him back. Lily, this is tearing us apart." I read it. I stared at it. Then I locked my phone. I knew their next move, the emotional leverage. My old roles, trusted helper, fixer, were being used to pull me back. Their escalation path. Guilt. Remember 2019. Emotional manipulation. Lily being hurt. Legal pressure. We were notified. Legal options were being considered. Family boycott. Group chat threats. Private detectives. Conversations with lawyers. It was a tactic, a pattern. The exact pattern, one identified in part 2. No guilt, no pressure to apologize. No justification because I realized that nothing I had returned could restore the balance. Money, infrastructure, access, all gone. The only thing left on the table was autonomy, and it was mine alone. I remember how they framed my generosity as lender status. I remember how they turned my silence into consent. Now they were turning silence into a weapon. It was power. But I refused to let them weaponize me back. In the middle of the night, I drafted a statement in my head. Short, factual. I supported Lily. That support was over. No legal action was warranted. I removed the privileges granted at my discretion. Then I deleted it. No post, no message, no statement. Silence was my boundary. At 1 a.m., a final push, a series of urgent messages from distant relatives I rarely spoke to. My cousin's roommate even texted, "We're so sorry. Are you okay? This feels like drama. Empathy is surveillance." I didn't respond. At 2 a.m., I woke up, sipped my last coffee, and reviewed the day's events. The infrastructure was cleaned up. Servers were revoked. Cards were canceled. Leases were deleted. Documents were locked. Emotionally, I was undeterred. I wasn't angry. I wasn't devastated. I was determined. And I watched them roar. No sirens, no arrests, no fireworks. Just a wave of accusations and heartbreaking signals, all coming from me, refusing to answer. At 3 a.m., I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The night was mine. I fell into a deep sleep. They made noise, but I did nothing. That silence would speak volumes tomorrow. I have always believed that the truth has weight. Not because it screams, but because it refuses to yield. I have no intention of going public. Not yet. After I froze the money, canceled the lease, revoked access, I thought the silence would calm the storm. I could disappear, end this without fanfare. But then, Lily's lawyer texted Claire's side, arguing that my actions were malicious. The intentional destruction of a young woman's dreams. Claire told her family that I had destroyed her daughter's future out of anger. The story was being rewritten. They were rewriting it, and they expected me to sit back and let them. Silence was comfortable, it was safe, but I realized it had become dangerous. It allowed them to drown out the truth with emotion, to turn kindness into cruelty, generosity into selfishness. If I didn't speak up, the story would be hijacked. So I chose to speak up, not to scream, not to rage, but to stand up and be seen. At 8:03 a.m., I opened my laptop, my fingertips cold. I pulled up all the files. Wire transfers, booking confirmations, payment statements, $3,200 to a host in Berlin, written to Lily. Airline tickets recorded on my card. Adobe Creative Cloud receipts, listing 3 seats. One tagged to Lily's email. Dropbox recording, the timestamp of my deletion of Thompson. Folders, the cloud. Document admin page showing the transfer and then revocation. Then the messages from yesterday afternoon, Claire's words. It was more like a family affair. Screenshots, timestamps, no emojis. 30 minutes later, I had neatly cropped 8 screenshots, anonymized when necessary, critical when necessary. By 9:12 a.m., I had a folder titled Receipts. No context, no editorial, no forward, just the important stuff. At 10:34 a.m., I logged into the platform where my family was staging the emotional drama. I typed, to be clear, I funded my cousin's move, airfare, visa fees, security deposit, and essential housing expenses. Total $6,400. I was excluded from her going away party via text message that read, "This is a family matter." In response, I froze the funds, canceled the sharing services, and backed out. I share this to clarify, not to create drama. Below, I've uploaded screenshots with captions. Deposit for Berlin apartment of $3,200 paid on April 15 at 11:22 a.m. One-way flight, credited to my card. Paid with Adobe Seat on Enterprise. Dropbox access revoked. April 17, 9:03 p.m. Removed. Cloud Doc admin rights. April 17, 9:05 p.m. Message from Claire. This is more like a family affair. Not anymore. I hit post, close the app, put it in my bag and leave the apartment. I don't wait for a reply. I don't seek reassurance, I just move on. By 11:08 a.m., the message has gone viral. Quiet shares, subtle likes, comments from people I barely know. Finally, the truth is out. I've been confused all this time. This explains everything. Someone texts, "You're not invisible. You've been erased." This was supposed to happen. The messages come flooding in. Cousins, coworkers, offering to help. Acquaintances, saying they've always wondered why you were dumped. A friend private messages. They've been manipulating you for years. Glad you spoke up. At 12:42 p.m., Lily texted, "Why did you do this? You're making me worse." I didn't respond, because if she was upset, it wasn't about me. It was about them. Someone else commented, "They turned kindness into a crime. You flipped the script." At 2:17 p.m., a mutual friend publicly wrote, "The truth is louder than tears." The tone changed. Then, a surprise confirmation. At 3 p.m., an email from Lily's scholarship committee came in because of a discrepancy in the third-party grant application. The housing approval was pending verification. They'd seen the receipt. They were investigating. At 4:28 p.m., my phone rang with Claire's number. I let it ring. It went to voicemail. She said, "You embarrassed us. You broke her trust. This is not the way." I listened twice, almost calmly. No tears, just accusations. Then I deleted it. I opened the group chat. No tears, no pleases, just silence. An absence of noise. Then a text from my uncle. I did what silence never did. Exposed the pattern. That was all I needed. No apology, no justification, no rebuttal. I didn't comment. I didn't explain. I didn't defend. The screenshots and captions spoke for themselves. The financial correspondents had taken the blame. The text spoke for itself. They had tried to drown me out with drama, with tears, with legal threats, with emotional ambushes. Now, they were the ones being silenced. At 7:10 p.m., the phone rang. A text. "We need to talk." From Lily, no context. I left it unread. By 8:54 p.m., the storm had passed. No more voicemails, no more instant messages, no more explosive group chats, just a quiet evening punctuated by truth. This grounding moment of silence, I did not wake up proud. I did not wake up angry. I woke up free. Freed from being a silent infrastructure, freed from the expectation of excuses or explanations. I woke up present. I shared the truth to bring clarity. And the echoes of the truth will never fade. They didn't call for a week. No text, no voicemail, no angry voicemail from Claire. In the middle of the night, for a moment, it felt like peace, but I knew better. Silence is not surrender, it's strategy. And sure enough, it came. Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. A text from Lily. "Can we talk before I go?" "No, I'm sorry." "No, you're right, just a polite invitation." As if nothing happened. As if what I did was an excessive reaction, not the final decision. I did not answer immediately. I thought about that, not for her, but for myself. I agreed to meet. Neutral location. Public, her choice. A cafe in the city center. I am on time. She was already there. Overcurrent white sweater. Half-packed suitcase next to the chair. Faced lifeless. She did not stand up when I approached. Do not laugh. I just looked up and said, "This is beyond the control." I didn't mean that everything was so far away. It was not an apology. It was a press release. A change in that the real problem was not what they did, but the way I reacted. She continues. "Talk about family pressure. About people think you're fine with that. About me is always strong. About the fact that helping will make you happy." She said everything as if she believed it would explain everything. It is like acknowledging the replacement for responsibility. At that moment, I realized she was not a villain. I am not a victim. We were only trapped in a story that I acted too well to help her and forget to write on myself. I did not interrupt. I just listened because this conversation is not for her. It is for me. When she finished speaking, I said, I didn't leave for money. I left because he had never seen me. She was silent. I continue. He saw support, transfers, help, but never saw the donor. And when I stopped, he didn't ask why. He called it betrayal. My voice is not high. I did not falter. Every word is considered. In the end, not to impress. To make it clearer, she swallowed. Looking down at my coffee cup, now what? She asked. We have just finished. I nodded. We're done. Right from the moment, he wrote. It is like a more family. In just a minute, she did. Not cry, do not plead. Just look smaller in some way. Not a depression. Just finally realized what was lost. I stood up, pushed the chair in, have a nice trip. Then I walked out, not turning back. Not about victory. It is about setting a boundary. Control does not end when I cancel the money, not when I share the explanation to be transparent, but right here, in this quiet saying. They no longer have access to the systems but also the support I have provided. Sometimes we forgive, not because it doesn't hurt, but because we're tired of shouting into the void. For a long time, I wondered if I was just too sensitive, if I expected too much from others. But the truth is, I gave a lot. I wasn't asking for gratitude, just presence. And when even that wasn't given, I didn't get angry. I just got tired of being invisible. This story isn't about revenge. It's a quiet reminder to myself, and maybe to you, that you deserve to be seen. And sometimes, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. Thank you so much for watching this video, all the way to the end. If this story resonated with you, even a little, here's how you can support us. Leave a like. It helps the video reach more people. Share it with someone who might need to hear this. Subscribe to the channel. We have more real, emotional, and thought-provoking stories to come. Drop a comment below. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever felt like the one who always gives and never receives? Your words help us improve, and your support means everything. See you in the next story. With warmth and gratitude,